The weather in Leesburg, Virginia is not great as Tropical Depression Ophelia pushes through, but Loudoun United and Louisville City FC will do their best to weather the storm. Brought to you tonight by Segra, alongside MLS veteran Ricky Lopez-Espin. I'm Joe Malfa. As you take a look at the standings, it is a must-win game now for Loudoun United down toward the end of the season. If they don't take all 3 points, they will mathematically be eliminated from playoff contention, and Louisville further up the table right now. They do not control destiny in that race for 4th versus 5th. And that's the difference between getting a home playoff game or not. And Ricky, these teams last met at the beginning of July. It was a very hard-fought 1-0 win for Louisville.
And you had the opportunity to ask Danny Cruz about it. He said, look, I pulled 2 players off in that first half because it was nowhere near the standard when you wear the Louisville City jersey. So I do think off the heels of a loss at Miami, it's going to be very interesting the first 10 to 15 minutes for Louisville City and how they start this game on the road at Loudoun United.
And they need this because they're in uncharted territory right now as a club. In their history, they've never finished below 4th place, meaning they've always had at least one, sometimes more, home playoff games. If they don't get above 4th place, Ricky, there's no guarantee they have a home game at Lynn Family Stadium come the postseason.
And just going back to our conversation with him, we asked him about, look, you're in 5th place. You want to get that home playoff game at Lynn Family Stadium because we know how big of a difference it can be, that hostile environment. And he said, look, the table's going to end how it ends. We have no control over that. And that really tells me 2 things about Danny Cruz at the moment. He has trust in his side, and he really wants to get them informed as playoffs are right around the corner.
And one player Louisville did not have to deal with guarding last time these teams met. Chris Hagart, now on loan from Charlotte FC. Your player to watch brought to you by Betfred.
And he needs to be very good for Loudoun United and Ryan Martin. Very good at just picking and choosing when to float between lines. He can beat you 1v1. He can beat you through combination play. But I do think if you're Loudoun United, what does the service look like into him, and how confident is he in the attacking third tonight? Because he can be a game changer.
Mother Nature, the ultimate equalizer. We'll see what kind of role the wind and the rain plays here. It's a must-win for Loudoun. It's not quite a must-win for Louisville. They're in the playoff field, and they're going to be. But if they want a home playoff game, they're going to need to pick up 3 points tonight. It's all coming up next on ESPN+.
Business today is fast, unpredictable, always changing. Shifting trends and technologies are pushing aside old rules. The unexpected is the new normal. Segra is here to help you get what's next with our best-in-class connectivity, cybersecurity, cloud, and collaboration solutions. Whatever your business dreams, we have the network and services to get you there. Segra, giving your business the freedom to grow today. Segra is a proud sponsor of the Loudoun United Football Club.
We understand an upside-down world, but they're writing us off before we get to the starting line. A stalled generation? Who do you think is going to fix all this? We will, because our future is the future. So we're going to build bridges and hospitals in a day and feed those left in the cold. We're going to do all this and more because we have an appointment with destiny.
You need on-the-go convenience. Novex Smart Hub delivers. Pay your electric bills, view your energy use, report an outage, and receive alerts regarding your account. With Smart Hub, use your credit card with no processing fees. Level out your monthly electric bills by enrolling in budget billing through Smart Hub. Easily access it through Novex mobile app or at novec.com. You're on the go. Novex Smart Hub goes with you.
Let's go!
Betfred's been taking bets for 55 years. We're so good at it, our staff thought they could still play the beautiful game. They were wrong.
Fred's doubling and tripling the price when your first goal scorer drops 2 or 3 goals. And with Fred, every 10th bet is on us.
We'll stick to taking bets. Because nobody does bonuses like Betfred.
More bonuses, more bets. Betfred.
Well, it hasn't stopped raining for a while, and it won't stop raining for pretty much the next 24+ hours here in Leesburg, Virginia. So these teams are just going to have to tough it out and brave it. And we hope to get through this whole thing without any stoppages for you. Loudoun United and Louisville City FC. Time to meet the starting 11 for both of these teams in what is a must-win game for Loudoun United. Ryan Martin sends out a pretty strong unit that has been bolstered by some loans, of course, as of late.
In the 4-1-4-1 formation-wise, but you look at that middle 3, Husu Landry, he's going to sit right in front of that back four. He's the player that Ryan Martin highlighted, said he's really grown over the course of the season. You have Rocha and Hagart in front of them. That relationship needs to be very good. Morris and El Medicard picking and choosing when they join Zach Ryan on the top line. Ryan Martin, first 10 to 15 minutes, going to be very important.
For Danny Cruz and Louisville City FC, Last they went out and got Kyle Adams, they switched to a 3-back. Then for a few games went back to a 4-back, and tonight, back in the 3.
And again, you can look quickly into a back 5. Mogul Jr. and Gibson, that relationship needs to be very good in the balance. Picking and choosing as one goes, the other one provides that coverage in front of that back 3. Harris, he's going to stay high. He's going to occupy the 2 center backs. You have Elijah Winder and Brian Naomi picking and choosing the freedom to roam in between lines.
Danny Cruz looking on through the rain. Team that had some travel troubles this week, getting into and out of Miami and getting up here to Leesburg, Virginia. Due in part at least because of the weather affecting the area. It's Loudoun in the red from left to right, Louisville in the white from right to left. Referee tonight, Kyle Johnston, about to send us on our way. Winds about 20 miles an hour, rain non-stop expected throughout the night. Temperature about 55 degrees. So it'll be a very slick playing surface, difficult to play through. Balls in the air, balls on the turf. Either way, it's going to be a tough one tonight. And we are underway at Segra Field. Player down for Loudoun. Right out of the gates, help back to his feet is Chris Hager. We'll take a look at the keys to the game. Brought to you by Country Buick GMC of Leesburg. What do you got for us, Ricky?
I think for Loudoun United, changing the point of attack just because the way that Lou City likes to press you, they like to squeeze you towards one sideline. So if you have the ability just to go out the other way, that's going to have a lot of success for Loudoun United, and something that Danny Cruz is quick to point out, limiting transition moments. How quickly can we repress and deny Loudoun United direct play over the top?
All the way back for Dane Jackaman. I mean, you've had to have played at some point in a game like this, whether it was in your time in Miami or anywhere else throughout your travels. I mean, it can't be fun. You have to just stick it out and deal with it, but it can't be fun.
Yeah, not fun at all, but if you're an attacking player, always having the ability to follow up on a shot on target, that's going to be very important. Also for a player, just control your first touch. That's going to set up everything. You don't want to overcommit, try to do too much. Play yourself into the game, see how the ball goes on this quick surface. It's going to be very interesting to see these players deal with this adversity.
I alluded to it before. It's a slick turf, so you don't maybe not want to play it on the ground because you don't know how the ball's going to skip. But if it's windy, you don't want to play it in the air. So maybe if it's just a windy day, you keep it on the deck. If it's a rainy day, you put it in the air. It's windy and it's rainy, so you're really just picking your poison here. Do you try to keep it on the ground? Do you try and put it in the air, or do you just have to do whatever seems right in the moment?
I think if you're Danny Cruz, the way that Lou City likes to play, just keep the ball on the ground, right? Move the ball from left to right as quickly as you can. And same thing for Ryan Martin, because I do think that every one of these players is technically sound. We keep talking about the importance of the first touch, because that's going to set up your second touch, and that can give you the ability just to unlock these opposition back lines.
Here's Harvey Neville, one of the 2 loanees they've gotten recently that have impacted things. Of course, Chris Hagart, your Betfred player to watch, the other, playing out of that number 10 spot. Harvey Neville coming over from Inter Miami on loan the remainder of this season. It's been an interesting year for Loudoun, who again need to pick up all 3 points today to mathematically stay alive. And even if they do pick up the 3 points, it could still come to an end tonight. No call made there. Seemed like Giannis Learman was fouled, but Mogul steps to it. Brian Ownby picks up his head, slots it through, looking for Wilson Harris, and it's grabbed by Jackaman.
I do think Wilson Harris gets away with one here. A lot of the jersey on Learman. But as there's no call, play progresses. Mogul Jr., very good ball into Brian Ownby, but this ball into Wilson Harris needs to be quicker. That extra touch just throws off the timing. It's a nice little warning sign of how explosive Lou City can be, turning their defense into offense higher up the field.
Just starting to say whether they do or don't pick up the 3 points tonight, Loudoun, it's an uphill battle. They're going to need Tulsa to drop a lot of points and every other team above them to drop points basically the rest of the way. So it's looking bleak to make the postseason for this Loudoun team, who have had an interesting up and down transitional year, going from a two-team of DC United to being an independent team now, but still having some of those second team tendencies because of the relationship with DC. And all throughout the year, Ryan Martin has been trying to navigate this. They've had pockets of positive play and strung together some wins, gone toe-to-toe with some top teams, and they've had some bad dips in the form that have been more reminiscent of last year, but you're starting to see what they're putting together going forward. And Danny Cruz, in our chat with Coach Cruz this week, was very complimentary of what Ryan Martin has started to build here in this first year as an independent team.
I think it's so interesting because when you have that transition year from, like you just mentioned, Joe, second team of DC United, now standing the lone team, you have the ability just to change the formation and have more of a say, and that's something that Ryan Martin has probably learned a lot in this season. And also, you talk to every single coach in USL Championship, and when you talk about Loudoun United, they know it's not an easy game, but it's just the critical moments that have been lacking, and you have to expect that with a team that has a lot of young players making their professional debuts.
Ownby taken down, free kick on the way for Louisville. Dangerous team to deal with on set pieces, Louisville. But again, with the conditions tonight, you don't know how effective a team could possibly be. One of those nights where you just hope to not make the mistake. It seems like it's either going to be somebody on either back line or a goalkeeper trying to deal with the wind and the slick ball. Doesn't have to be pretty on a night like this. You just have to get it onto the bar, through the posts, and to the back netting. Mogul. I have to give a shout out to the fans who are braving this, by the way. That is one thing about Loudoun through the years that you cannot critique. They have a very loyal fan base, and it's a real hotbed for the game in this part of the country. Rain, shine, or tropical depression, they are out there. Cole Turner.
You just see that high press for Lou City at the moment. So I do think if you're Ryan Martin, you can break this initial pressure, this first line. There can be success to be had. So what does the movement for Rocha and Hagar look like between the lines? You get them on the half turn. You have the willing runs of Ed Melikart, Morris, and Ryan on the front line. So how clean can you be, like you said, Joe? You don't want to make that silly mistake. Focus, decision making. First touch is going to be everything for Lou City as they try to play out now.
Here's Hagar. Years at Georgetown for Hagar. They've been monitoring him throughout that time. Loudoun ended up going to Charlotte FC, still belongs to them on loan here at Loudoun. All the way back for Oliver Zemla. Back into the fold now for Louisville, lets it run by. I don't know if I'd do that with the surface like this, but he gets it away, comfortable with his feet. Clean sheet today for Zemla would tie him for the most in a single season in Louisville's history, and it would tie him with a mark set by Kyle Morton just last season. Wilson Harris fouled coming off that loss against Miami. This Louisville side all year long, and really in the history of their club, they've been notorious for not losing more than one in a row. They had an uncharacteristic 3-game losing skid the middle of this summer, and that was the first time that had happened since their first year of existence in this league. Now, you know, after a 4-3 loss against Miami, they will be hungry for a victory tonight. Danny Cruz said it's unacceptable to go on the road, score 3 goals, and still lose. And that was the case just a couple of nights ago in Miami.
You don't see that very often. A side go into another place's venue and score 3 goals and also walk away with 0 points. So I do think if you're Danny Cruz, we talked about him in the open. Last time these two teams met, the standard wasn't high enough, so you send a message by bringing 2 players off the field. So that's going to be a quick reminder in the locker room talk. Off the heels of a loss from Miami, yes, you want a reaction, but also last time out against this Loudoun United side, didn't have the best performance.
Especially against a Miami FC side that has struggled to score goals all year. They get 4 goals in that one game. That's 10% of their total goal scoring output all season long. So very uncharacteristic how that went out on Wednesday night. Danny Cruz never one to make excuses, but did paint the picture of the sort of week they've had. It's been a nightmare of a week traveling, getting out of Miami, planes diverted to the west coast of Florida, buses had to be taken, and all around difficulties in the travel getting in. 2 a.m. one night, so it has been quite a week. They're excited to get back home, and they hope to do so on the back of 3 points tonight. Neville gets it back into play. Jake Morris, another one of those loanees through the rest of the season from Columbus. Almost through for Hagart, who has a goal and an assist already in just 2 appearances for Loudoun.
It's interesting that if you're Ryan Martin, you put Jake Morris on this right-hand side, left-footed by trait. So he's always going to cut into the interior. So it's going to leave a lot of real estate for Harvey Neville to come around the corner and create overloads on this near side. So something that if you're Loudoun United and Ryan Martin, something to keep an eye out on is how can you unbalance Oscar Jimenez, the wing back for Lou City, and Kyle Adams, outside back in the back 3 for Danny Cruz.
Here's Jackaman, 15th start of the year for Dane Jackaman. Second year now with the club. It's basically split time this year with Hugo Farrell, but Jackaman is statistically the much better of the 2 goalkeepers all season long. Not for a knock he picked up during the year. Might have been the starter the whole way. Neville. Looking through for Morris. Couldn't get around Oscar Jimenez. All the way out of play for a goal kick. Consistency has been an issue this year for Louisville, whether it's because of the injuries they've had or just the way the schedule has worked out for them. And it's something that has befuddled the coaches all year long. We asked Danny Cruz this week, have you been able to put your finger on why? And said, it's funny you asked, we actually had a meeting as a staff after the Miami game talking about that same thing. Why have we just not been able to keep the level consistent this year, game in, game out? And one thing that they did sort of come back to was the fitness level. Feels like in some games this year, they've just been dragging late on, and it's cost them some results where in years past that hasn't been an issue. And he mentioned some of that does come down to guys have had to play more minutes this year and been pushed harder because the depth hasn't been there because of all the injuries. But that is one area where they sort of came to a conclusion that was not where it needed to be. It's tough to fix the fitness though, 30 games into his season.
I do think keeping the ball now for Lou City is going to be very important because you talked about the fitness levels. You go into a very difficult place to play in. Great ball.
Jake Morris looking for an option. Harvey Neville coming to help. Morris takes it end line on his less preferred right foot, back to his left now. Top of the area, blasted through, deflected, and out for a corner.
Does really well there, Jake Morris. Just the patience and the composure. He sees off. Harvey Neville cuts this ball back with just a bit too much pace for the player to oncoming run and hit it first time.
Kyle Johnston calling a couple of players over. Jake Morris and Tyler Gibson, guilty parties of something in the mix. And now time for the corner. 13 minutes in, scoreless through the rain and wind here at Segra Field. And all the way through, nobody gets a touch to it. It'll come all the way out for a goal kick. If you're Loudoun on a night like this, going up against a typically defensively sound team in Louisville, aside from the hiccup they had against Miami, those are the opportunities you can't squander like that on set pieces.
And how clinical can you be when you get into that final 18-yard box? Decisive picking, choosing when to force the ball into the traffic area, but just when to go on your own and express yourself. I do think that's going to be the difference for Ryan Martin's side.
There's Gibson feeding it through for Ownby, fouled by Giannis Learman. You can see in possession how much more comfortable this Louisville team is than they were about a month and a half ago, just with the addition of Kyle Adams. When he was in San Diego, so much of the possession flowed through him at the back end. There's your first glimpse of what the wind can do. And it looked like Wilson Harris was preparing to get on his horse and save that one from going out the end line, and he had to come back for it. But Kyle Adams has come in there and been that calming presence at left center back that they had been lacking all year long, Louisville.
I think when you have a center back that's just so comfortable on the ball, just gives you a luxury because it pulls the player out, right? And you can create overloads elsewhere on the field, whether it's on a wide area, whether it's centrally. So I do think it's going to be really important for him just to get confident, to get in a rhythm as we approach the playoffs. Another player I do think for Danny Cruz that's really grown into his own has been Mogul Jr., playing right in the middle of the park, dictating tempo, moving the ball from left to right. He's a player that every time we had the ability to talk with Danny Cruz, he's highlighted him, said he's really made strides in terms of his preparation, his professionalism, but also when you walk across that white line, he wants to get on the ball. He wants to be the engine for this Lou City side.
Neville made 10 MLS appearances this year before he was sort of demoted to MLS Next Pro and then loaned out here. Once Inter Miami started bringing in Barcelona American version, there wasn't really a spot at the table anymore for Harvey Neville. Cole Turner drives it through. We've seen through 15 minutes basically what we expected, a lot of sloppy play between these teams. You can't put it in the air because of the 20-mile-an-hour winds. It's tough to put it on the deck because guys are slipping and sliding. But this is a good moment here for Loudoun, playing through the lines and earning another corner.
And he's a player that you need to get going. El Medcar on that left-hand side, number 23 in red. Very good at just popping into the hole, getting on the ball combination play with him and Zach Ryan. Something we have not seen enough of for Loudoun United 16 minutes in. But you get those guys going, you get them asking questions of this back line of Lou City. It's going to be a very important duo for Ryan Martin.
Last corner came all the way through for a goal kick. Gonna do better this time. Learman has it lined up. It's off the top of Kyle Adams' head and out for another corner. Otherwise, Learman might have had a sitter.
Last-ditch defending effort from Kyle Adams. You talked about it, Joe, when you're not creating opportunities through the run of play. Set pieces are a brilliant way to find that equalizer, that opening goal, excuse me. So you're looking for quality here. If you're Loudoun United, just to whip this ball into the mixer, cause chaos between this back line of Zemla and Lou City.
Neville sends this one in, punched away awkwardly by Zemla. And that's where, if you're a goalkeeper, you just have to be careful in this type of weather. It moved on him. You can't really get a grip of the ball. Do what you can to keep it out. I suppose the answer is probably everybody, but who's most negatively impacted by this type of weather? Is it the goalkeepers? Is it the nines who maybe have difficulty getting the service their way? It impacts everybody in some sort of aspect, but anybody worse affected by it?
I'll say goalkeepers. I mean, you just see there Zemla not confident, just grabbing the ball, so it elects to punch it. So now, so many times it's goalkeeping one-on-one. When you punch, you have to punch with two hands up and away. You don't want to swipe at it because the ball's slippery. I mentioned it in the opening that if you're an attacking player, having the ability just to follow up, so any sort of rebound you can smash home is going to be really important. Yes, any goalkeeper, when it's wet, when it's slick, and there's a lot of wind, it's a nightmare to play in between the sticks.
On B. Adams played in by Jimenez. Now Gibson lays it off for strike here by Winder. Takes a click off the heel of a defender and almost had Jackman the wrong way.
I haven't seen a lot of that from Lou City, just playing between lines, very patient in the way that they build out. But I do think if you can unbalance Rocha and Husulandra, the two double pivots for Ryan Martin and Loudoun United, you can have a lot of success with Elijah Winder on the weak side.
Here is Rocha looking over the top for El Medkar. Pardon me, for Jake Morris, who cycled out now to that left side. Overlap from Kowanda. And Zemla unable to stop the corner. So another corner coming from Loudoun. They're fourth of the first half already, 20 minutes in.
Applying a lot of pressure on the weak side, and that's something that we mentioned also. Change the point of attack. You start on this side with Harvey Neville. You rotate the ball, and then you isolate that weak side defender. Great overloads with the movement. With Medkar, Jake Morris floats over. And once again, you're looking for quality here if you're Harvey Neville.
Rain coming in sideways now. Corner flag whipping there, you see, right at Harvey Neville. In swinger, aided by the wind, flicked on by Ryan and headed home. Their fourth corner in the first 20 minutes, and finally it pays dividends. The 10th of the year for Zach Ryan.
Not creating a lot through the run of play, so set pieces, especially corner kicks, are a brilliant way just to get the opener. As Zach Ryan just peels off the top of the 18-yard box, gets away from his individual marker, and what a fantastic flick on header. Doesn't need to hit it too hard, just needs to help it on over his right shoulder. At the momentum from Harvey Neville's ball on the back of the net, terrific goal, and Loudoun United on the lead here, the 21st minute.
Almost seemed like Louisville was a bit flat-footed. The first two corners from that side, remember, one came all the way through for a goal kick, the other was to the back post. And maybe they were counting on that tendency again. Instead comes near post, they pay for it.
And it's such a striker's goal. He creates his own space. And it's all about the composure, the understanding. Where to put the ball, don't need to hit it too hard because the momentum, the pace that Harvey Neville hits it with. Just too quick, Zemla can't react quick enough. Just rises up, terrific goal from Zach Ryan, 10th on the year, like you said. And I do think it's going to grow in confidence now for Loudoun United, get on the ball just a tiny bit more, because now Lou City's going to have to get out of their shell, go after that equalizer. It can leave them extremely vulnerable going back the other way.
And Louisville trying to attack right now into the teeth of this wind. Limits what they could probably do as far as anything over the top. You saw that last ball played out wide by Winder, just completely knocked down by the wind and out for an easy throw in for Loudoun.
That's going to be a frustrating one for Danny Cruz to concede, because when it comes to set pieces, that's not game plan, that's not X and O's, that's just pure willingness to not lose your individual battle. Zach Ryan just gets away from his marker, makes no mistake about the finish. So it's going to be very interesting, the remainder of this first half for Lou City. How do they play themselves back into this game? They haven't really gotten a rhythm, haven't really got on the ball and put this back line for Loudoun under any sort of pressure.
Zach Ryan, and what has otherwise been a pretty tough year for Loudoun, who again need to win this game to keep their slim playoff hopes alive. 10 goals on the year for Ryan, coming off a year where he signed a homegrown for the New York Red Bulls. Then at the end of that year, had his option declined. Free agent, comes to Loudoun, trying to put himself in good standing, whether it's to stay here, whether it's to move on somewhere else. He has done his job this year with 10 goals, 3 assists, and now his 26 starts. Ownby lays it off for Mogul, a worm burner here, and it's out for a goal kick.
And those are the spots that I was just talking about centrally for Lou City. You can ask questions of Loudoun United. You break this initial pressure, and as Husu Landry's at single pivot, you can draw him over. There's going to be a real estate. Talk about decision-making, the timing for Brian Ownby, because as Husu Landry takes that first step, it opens up a hole for Mogul Jr. to advance himself in that final third. Just pulls it a bit too wide, but good movement on the back end for Danny Cruz.
Possession over 60% in Loudoun's favor so far. Ownby could not handle that one. Those are the moments where Loudoun has been done in at times this year, especially when they do get leads. You let their guard down, you have a turnover like that, and you're picking it back up out of your own net, but unpunished there by Ownby. Wilson Harris. Long toward Ownby, taken by Learman. Landry looking long, and the wind took that one well further than its intended target. Husu Landry, another bright spot this year. Maybe calls are starting to come in on him as well. Ryan Martin heaped the praise on Husu Landry this week, and rightfully so.
It's interesting. I asked Ryan Martin, yes, you bring in Harvey Neville, you bring in Jake Morris and Hagar to help you in terms of just their quality and level, but who's been the player?
Slipped through from Ownby to Harris. Wilson Harris on his left foot, looking for a lane to shoot, and he curls it just wide.
Ryan Ownby is coming alive. These last 5 minutes, it's all behind the shoulders of Husu Landry and Rocha because there's so much real estate to operate in. And if you are Turner or Lehman, you step off the line, there has to be terms of rotation for the other players underneath. The center back steps off, no one drops down to provide that coverage of Wilson Harris. You know anything about Wilson Harris, 8 goals, 2 assists on the season. He can create something out of nothing. Just pulls this one just a tad bit wide. Going back to Husu Landry, Ryan Martin, like you said, was just praising him to no end, saying that he's a player that's grown in terms of his preparation off the field, what he eats in his body, because he's physically just so gifted, whether it's teams from overseas, whether it's MLS teams or other USL teams, wanting his services and wanting his signature on the dotted line for next season. I do think a game like this is going to be really important for his development as well. Players that on the other side are very experienced, proven winners. You look at Lou City, the experience that they've had. Ryan Ownby, Mogul Jr., Gibson, Menez, Perez, players that he's always going to have those individual battles with. So having the balance and having that sense of security when you're on the ball and disrupting anything that Lou City wanted to play centrally.
Down goes Jimenez.
Just a bit overzealous here, Harvey Neville. I do think it's going to be a nice little battle between him and Oscar Jimenez. 2 players that are very similar in their own right, have quality on the attacking third, but also can double down and do their defensive duties.
Played out wide now for Winder, and it'll go all the way out for a Louisville throw. Nearing the half-hour mark, lone goal scored so far by Zach Ryan in the 20th minute for Loudoun. Harris. On the way back now for Zemla. Please do bear with us in these conditions. Cameramen are doing all they can and braving the storm for us. Mogul. Elijah Winder's come along this year for being the player of the year last year in USL Championship. Neville, Louisville throw.
Just keep going, I got you.
Select is the official match ball supplier of the USL Championship and many elite leagues throughout Europe. Visit www.us.select-sport.com for the latest specials, offers, and more. Select, the player's choice. Harvey Neville, ball in hand. Danny Cruz in the background looking on. And again, please do bear with us. This much rain plus electrical equipment doesn't usually work well together. Trying to get the other cameras back up and running for you. Here's Owen B. Moving his way through, feeding it out wide for Perez. Back ahead to Ownby. Ownby curling it toward the back post. Got it down by Winder. Harris, nothing he could do with it. And the call goes against Louisville.
You start to see the freedom that Brian Ownby gets to play with underneath Danny Cruz. Well, they're just playing centrally. He has the freedom to go wide. That you look at USL Championship, hard to pinpoint someone that's just been better over the years of Brian Ownby. Can beat you 1v1, can beat you individually, or combination play, always having that final product, but hasn't really gotten a rhythm this season in terms of his productivity, in terms of goals and assists, due to injury, due to form. I do think you get him scoring goals, especially in this game like this. With Danny Cruz plus right around the corner. A real big X factor.
The biggest X factor tonight so far has been tropical depression Ophelia. Winds over 20 miles an hour, gusting even higher than that. Rain non-stop, temperature low 50s. Landry, back for Learman. Been impressed with the possession from Loudoun tonight. Not their calling card, have up near 60% of it, forcing Louisville to chase the game, and a team who has had to deal with the travel this week. Heavy-legged maybe from Wednesday night in the humidity in Miami. Full week of travel. They stayed on the road, of course. No time to really go back to Louisville and have a night in their own bed. So knowing that the trip is maybe taking a toll on them, and they just played a couple nights ago, Loudoun retaining the ball, forcing Louisville to just expend that much more energy. Harris working his way into the 18, but couldn't get by Aiden Rocha. Rocha is somebody who is a member of the back line by trade, pushed up here into that holding midfield role. And that's the help he can provide. Working back, dropping onto that line on that last play against Harris. And this one out for a goal kick.
I don't think he's been very good. 32 minutes in. Very comfortable on the ball, but what off the ball that he does is so important for Loudoun United. Just moments just like that. The ability just to double down and pick the pocket of Wilson Harris. And he can be really important in his relationship between him and Husu Landry, who plays centrally for the home side here.
Ownby collides with Turner, and the foul goes against Cole Turner, a yellow card to boot.
And it's that relationship and that rotation that I'm talking about on the back line. As Learman steps off his line to challenge for this initial ball, Turner needs to be proactive in his movement. Rotates a bit late and catches Brian Ownby, who's quicker to the ball there. So now the center back on a yellow card, 33 minutes in. A big challenge in terms of his discipline and his decision making for the remainder of this game.
Jimenez present to provide the outswinger with the left foot, Mogul the inswinger with the right foot. Doesn't look like it'll be a shot from here. They seem geared toward a service. Mogul does go for a goal, and it's off the post. Jacobin was cheating to his left. Mogul spotted it and almost made him pay.
Just so cheeky and so clever. Like you said, everyone in the building thought he was going to whip the ball into a dangerous area. See Jacobin cheating. Why not have a go? You have the technical ability to pull it off, but just gets denied by the goalkeeper's best friend.
Would have been his worst enemy if it hit the post and went in, but you've got a circular ball against an, what is it, cylindrical post, and all the shapes out here, and
that's
you get some funky bounces.
That's out of my expertise, Joe.
Over the top again to Ryan, who was lurking. I mean, it's out of everybody's expertise when it's big time math, but you got to know your shapes.
Circle, triangle, rectangle. That's as far as I go. But
Not
let's take
even
a
a
look at
square?
it here. Square. He hits it extremely well. Enough dip and enough whip on this ball. Mogul Jr. Danny Cruz raves about his technical ability on display right there.
Is it all squares are rectangles, but not all rectangles are squares? I remember that. That is one thing that has stuck with me through the years. All corners are scoring opportunities, and the last time they had one, that scoring opportunity became a goal for Zach Ryan. See if they can make it count again here, Loudoun. Whipped in by Neville toward the back post this time. And see, that's how the first two deliveries went. It was the third one where he broke the tendency, went near post, and they scored. And this time they go right back to the back post delivery.
And it's interesting because there's not a player making that looping back post run either. Everyone's crashing towards that near post or center of the goal. So I do think if you're Harvey Neville, I think it's by trade or it's just you're mishitting it every single time. You need to clean it up on the back end. Watch out.
He's chasing here. Jackman, he gets a piece of it, looking for it now. Jackman finds it and barely inside his 18, grabs it.
It's just those little critical moments for Loudoun United. You're up a goal 36 minutes in against maybe one of the best teams in this Eastern Conference. You have to be more clean in your decision making, more secure. Back when you just see it to hit a bit light, step off your line, just clear this ball. You think that's going to be the frustration for Ryan Martin because you do all the hard part, but it's those laps of focuses, laps of concentration.
You mentioned against one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference here. Where is Louisville's place this year? It's an uncharacteristic year for them. We highlighted it right off the top that it might be the first time they finished below fourth in their club's history. Where is their place in this Eastern Conference as we come out of the business end of the season with 4 regular season games remaining?
I think the question has to be asked is which Louisville you're going to get, right? Because there's so many times they look like the best team in USL Championship, but then other times, and I think Danny Cruz would be the first to tell you, you look on the field, and it's like, who are these guys? Exhibit A, last time they played against Loudoun United was not good enough. You bring off 2 players. Danny Cruz said he could have brought off 8. That's how frustrated he was. But I do think on their day, they have so many game changers. They have so many players that have the quality, including this man who just drew a foul. And I do think in the Eastern Conference that they're playing at their game, top 2.
Eastern Conference playoffs are going to be really interesting. Just the different styles of all the teams involved in the form they've had all this year. Pittsburgh the most consistent, but they've waned come postseason time the last couple of years. Tampa Bay the most consistent in terms of making deep runs. They had a couple of title games, one that didn't happen, of course, unfortunately, and one that they lost to Orange County. Louisville's made every conference final since they've come into the league. And there's Charleston, a very young team that has been up and down. Mogul lets this one this time for Jimenez. Out toward Mogul, but cleared by Rocha. Foot race here between Jimenez and an overeager Chris Hagart, who is called for the foul. Eastern Conference playoff picture is definitely top heavy. Got the top 4 or 5 teams who could maybe pull it off. We'll look here as Hagart would have had a free release to goal. And Oliver Zebla scrambling back had he gotten past Jimenez cleanly. The Western Conference is a total free-for-all. Anybody seeded currently 1 through 10 can probably win the Eastern Conference. And I mean that. I mean, a couple of teams below that playoff line who, if they get in, can make some noise. Western Conference is going to come down to decision day. Eastern Conference, the 8 might be known before decision day. Just the order will have to be figured out come October the 14th. Coming into the day in the Eastern Conference, got that battle for 8th place right now between Tulsa, Detroit mainly. Miami's lurking. Loudoun with a win today would stay alive. Taken ahead by Harris, his shot blocked. Really, there's that line of demarcation after Louisville in 5th, and then there's just kind of the rest of the East. The Western Conference, different story. Colorado Springs, who a lot of people would say could maybe take home the title this year on their day. They're in 6th on 40 points, all the way down to 10th place. New Mexico on 38, 2 points separating 6th and 10th. As Kyle Adams got out of that West Conference playoff race, came to Louisville, and that was a yellow card.
And those are the moments that Loudoun United can try to catch out Lou City because they commit so many numbers forward. Good little bit of interplay here. Kyle Adams knows he's beat by Chris Hagart. Comes to the backside, a lot of the jersey. Now the left center back of this back three for Danny Cruz sees yellow here.
Morris for Hagart. Push through for Rocha.
Watch out.
Rocha talking to the referee now. Kyle Johnston, he's shown a yellow card. Joining Cole Turner in the book for Loudoun.
That sloppy touch, that heavy touch from Rocha right here. Tries to recover it. Takes out Elijah Winder in the follow through. Always going to get you a yellow card right in front of a referee, Kyle Johnston.
Well, they've had to deal with some up and down in the roster this year. Loudoun still with the relationship with DC United, but it is still such a talented group they have, despite what the results have been. I mean, you look at the starting 11 today: Learman, Neville, Elmedkar, Hagart, Morris, Ryan, all guys who have either played in MLS or been drafted by MLS teams. Really, they all just are as a collection of misfits of a sort, banding together. Difficult out all year long for anybody who's faced them, as Jimenez puts this one over the top toward Ownby and flicked away by Jackaman.
Really good, confident goalkeeping from Jackaman. The traffic oncoming. Brian Ownby making that slashing run across the face of goal. Up and away. I do think that if you're Danny Cruz, you want to get Brian Ownby in those half spaces just a tad bit more. We saw it about 10 minutes ago how many problems he was causing Loudoun United with the runs of Elijah Winder and Wilson Heron off the shoulder for the two center backs, but have kind of gotten away from that. That's a play for Lou City. I do think you bring in Aiden Rocha a bit deeper and just clog those passing lanes has really made a difference in the defensive structure for the home side here.
Neville back for Jackaman, working again was Ownby. Remember, he just blocked a clearance attempt by Jackaman a few minutes ago. And close to halftime now. Aside from your socks, your underwear, your shorts, and your jersey, if you're Louisville, what are you changing come the second half to try and get back in this game, unless you go ahead and get that equalizing goal here in the remaining few minutes?
I think you just need to get on the ball just a tiny bit more. It's been very uncharacteristic, like for Loudoun United, for Lou City. There's so many times that sloppy turnover, trying to hit that home run ball. Just moments like this, connect some passes, move the ball from left to right, and just play the way that Danny Cruz wants you to play. Right, have the ball circulation, open up gaps against the opposition for Loudoun United, because you look at this Loudoun United side, conceded 53 goals on the season. So defensively, a bit shaky. You have to be patient and picking and choose when to go and when to just have possession. I do think that's going to be the message for Danny Cruz. Just play more of our game. Don't need to do everything at once and be more patient in the build-out phase.
Curious to see if he makes any changes at halftime. Again, knowing that the last time they faced Loudoun, he made those 2 changes in the first half. And as you mentioned, said he could have made 8 changes in that half. Just the unlucky 2 of Tellefson and Gibson, who were the examples. Both players go down for Loudoun. Seem to be, but not in the eyes of Kyle Johnston. Now the play stopped by Kyle Johnston as Zach Ryan's still down, but clearly there was something there if he's still down.
It's a clear foul.
I'm with you.
Shanto steps off his line, takes off. Zach Ryan extremely late. Right in front of Kyle Johnston. A bit confused how that one's just not called. Hopefully he's okay. He's been very good and very clinical. Haven't seen much of the ball, but when he's on the ball, making things happen, Zach Ryan.
his goal. That's the difference right now. Came all the way back in the 20th minute. It was the 4th corner of the match already, 20 minutes in for Loudoun. First couple really just went by the wayside without any danger created. This one bucked that trend.
We just see the intent in his run. Just gets away from Wilson Harrison. As he gets wide of that post, it's all about redirecting it, right? Having the shoulders come square toward the goal mouth. Don't need to hit it too hard. Just need to get it on target. What a terrific goal that is for Zach Ryan to get his 10th on the year.
Favorite part about that whole goal is the reaction of the fans behind the goal. You've got these supporters here in this weather, and they're toughing it out. They're braving it. It's 55 degrees. It's 20-mile-an-hour winds gusting higher than that. This rain has not let up for even a second since the game kicked off, and they are there supporting in that supporters' end. The proud and few in this weather rewarded with that goal early on. Stoppage time brought to you by Novak, delivering power you can count on. 3 more minutes tacked on here in half number 1. I don't want to tell ownership how to run their team here, but I'm giving every single person here vouchers for another game or something of the sort. If you're here, you are a fan of this club.
I need some free pretzels, some hot chocolate or something, man. Come on.
Over the top from Gibson. Jimenez. Maybe a last chance or two in this half for Louisville to find that equalizer. Otherwise, it's going to be a really interesting 15 minutes away in the locker room for Danny Cruz's bunch. Talking about the adjustments on the Louisville side, if you're Ryan Martin, the conversation has got to just be stay mistake-free. Outside of that, that has been Loudoun's undoing at many times this year. And if there's anything that's going to undo them tonight, probably a mistake at the back or a moment of brilliance from somebody like Wilson Harris. Here comes a corner for Louisville.
I do think, how clean can you be defensively in your structure, in your positioning, and box defending? Is going to be the message from Ryan Martin. There's so many times, whether it is Wilson Harris that peels out or Brian Ownby, with that secondary run, that late trailing run from a weak side that we've seen from Lou City. So how clinical can you be in your defensive 18-yard box is going to be the message.
From the corner, headed just wide. It seemed like Jackman completely misjudged it, and Kyle Adams had an open goal. It's out for a goal kick.
To the right.
As a goalkeeper, you need to be so decisive when you come off your line. Just misjudges, like you said, Joe. And then Kyle Adams hits it back where it came from. You have Jackman beat. You just need to get it on target, and it's 1-1. You just see the frustration for the center back into the head, confusion. Jackman gets away with one there.
And that's one you'd pick him to score 99 times out of 100, but this is that one time. And with that, there's your whistle to end half number 1. Loudoun a 1-0 lead over Louisville through the rain here at Segra Field.
I do think if you're Ryan Martin, yes, it's not your best performance in terms of football, but very effective trying to catch out Lou City in break moments, and set pieces are going to be key. But how clean can you be defensively? That's going to be the message in this next 45. And for Danny Cruz, get on the ball just a bit more and have more patience in the build-up phase.
Well, this is what it looked like before the game started. Still raining, but not quite as bad as it has been once the game got underway. MVP of the half might have been the ponchos from the fans, but in reality, it's Zach Ryan who has the lone goal. Came in the 20th minute. Loudoun 1, Louisville 0 in a must-win game for Loudoun United.
Business today is fast, unpredictable, always changing. Shifting trends and technologies are pushing aside old rules. The unexpected is the new normal. Segra is here to help you get what's next with our best-in-class connectivity, cybersecurity, cloud, and collaboration solutions. Whatever your business dreams, we have the network and services to get you there. Segra, giving your business the freedom to grow today. Segra is a proud sponsor of the Loudoun United Football Club.
You need on-the-go convenience. Novex Smart Hub delivers. Pay your electric bills, view your energy use, report an outage, and receive alerts regarding your account. With Smart Hub, use your credit card with no processing fees. Level out your monthly electric bills by enrolling in budget billing through Smart Hub. Easily access it through Novex mobile app or at novec.com. You're on the go. Novex Smart Hub goes with you.
Let's go!
Betfred's been taking bets for 55 years. We're so good at it, our staff thought they could still play the beautiful game. They were wrong.
Fred's doubling and tripling the price when your first goal scorer drops 2 or 3 goals. And with Fred, every 10th bet is on us.
We'll stick to taking bets. Because nobody does bonuses like Betfred.
More bonuses, more bets. Betfred.
We understand an upside-down world, but they're writing us off before we get to the starting line. A stalled generation? Who do you think is gonna fix all this? We will, because our future is the future. So we're going to build bridges and hospitals in a day, and feed those left in the cold. We're going to do all this and more, because we have an appointment with destiny.
1-0 lead for Loudoun United through 45. Everybody heading for cover while they can during this halftime interval. And Loudoun United in 2024 season tickets, they're now on sale, and they're giving fans a chance to win 2 free tickets on them. You can enter the sweepstake for a chance to win 2 sideline tickets for the 2024 season, valued at $650. Visit LoudounUnitedFC.com to enter today. And this Loudoun team has to win tonight to keep their playoff hopes alive, albeit slim. Louisville, they're going to be in, but they would have been in a much better spot in the standings had they taken the 3 points instead of losing 4-3 on the road against Miami on Wednesday.
I'll tell you what, against this Miami FC side, there's some quality goals from both sides. That one from Joaquin Rivas, he draws the pen from Sean Tosh. It's that secondary touch. If you're Sean Tosh, you know you cannot lunge in. But big 3 points for Miami FC as they take down Lou City. 3 goals on the road, 0 points for Danny Cruz in this match.
For Loudoun United, had they been able to produce a victory over Charleston instead of this 2-2 draw, it wouldn't have necessarily had their backs against the wall tonight as they do. It was a back-and-forth game.
When we talked to Ryan Barney, he said, look, we were very pleased with the fight back from this young group, and as we scored, we let them score back into this game. El Nedkar Hagar gets on the score sheet, and for Charleston Battery, Traeger and Marcanic, talk about quality players making a difference in the final third. Great goal here from Chris Hagar.
And they've been playing so well against good teams. Don't forget, Charleston in 3rd place, Louisville sitting here in 5th place. They have a lot of talent, this Loudoun team. Question is, can they hold on and stay mistake-free? That's been their issue all year as we're set to begin half number 2.
And can they see out games? That's going to be really important for Loudoun United to take nothing away from that finish from Marcanic to draw 2-2.
Everybody's staying as dry as they can, as long as they can, but they'll have to come out eventually. We're getting close to half number 2. It's Loudoun 1, Louisville 0.
We all have goals. But let's be honest. Most of us aren't going to be professional athletes. But if your goal is to finish your degree, we can help. Come to a university that puts your goals first. Bellevue University, your partner in finishing goals.
Betfred's been taking bets for 55 years. We're so good at it, our staff thought they could still play. They were wrong.
Fred's doubling the price when your first touchdown scorer scores too. And with Fred, every 10th bet is on us.
We'll stick to taking bets because nobody does bonuses like Betfred.
More bonuses, more bets. Betfred.
Well, the wind, the rain, that has persisted while we've been in our break here, and it's supposed to the rest of the way. Teams enjoying whatever time they have left in the locker room. Loudoun up 1-0. Step aside here a moment and take a broader look around USL Championship with some news and notes. It's hard to believe that we are less than a month to decision day. 21 days officially to the end of the regular season. A big day on November 12th as we will see somebody lift a trophy in the Golden Boot race. Albertico, Danny Trejo right now, 17 goals. You got to pick between those two? It's close.
I was going to say Danny Trejo, just the way that Phoenix is playing at the moment. His relationship between Manuel Arciaga on the front line, I think he just nicks it just by a tiny bit. I think he gets around 20.
When are we going to see Kimbrough, by the way? 13-year-old called up to the U16 Mexican youth national team. He made the bench for Sacramento in their last game. It's incredible.
Yeah, I think we see him maybe on the back end of the season, on the decision day maybe.
Yeah, if they've got it wrapped up.
Awesome for Mark Briggs.
If they've got it wrapped up, I mean, why not? They're 4 points clear to San Antonio right now, so come the last day, we shall see. It is scoreless right now in the other game going on between Pittsburgh and New Mexico. And here's some of the results that stuck out from last week, in the midweek, excuse me. San Diego, a big 3-2 win over Monterey Bay out west, but the one that means the most for this Eastern Conference, of course, was that 4-3 of Miami over Louisville. Can Miami get into that playoff picture and knock off Tulsa, or is it probably Tulsa's spot to lose?
I think it's Tulsa's spot to lose, but big game for FC Tulsa here tonight. But I do think it's too little too late for Miami FC. They went on a losing streak of 3 games right in the heart of that playoff race. But I do think for San Diego, talking about academy kids, like he comes in on the 93rd minute, I think he gets the winner. Just terrific.
Absolutely. Tulsa sitting on 36 points. They will take on Charleston tonight. Miami sitting on 32 points, so lurking there for Tulsa, but it is Tulsa's destiny to control. The game of the night, on paper at least, probably has to be that San Antonio-Orange County game. The form that Orange County has been in the last couple of months. San Antonio, though, it's been a little while since they've taken home all 3 points in a game.
It's going to be very interesting, just the way that Mark Carlson has his boys playing. And I'm really interesting to see, talking about Orange County, how Milan Alafni ends out this year, because obviously we talked about his move going overseas at the conclusion of this 2023 campaign. Tampa Bay Rowdies, they're hosting Memphis 901, and Memphis 901, they are in that 4th and final playoff spot to host a home playoff game.
San Antonio has picked up only 4 points in their last 5 games. Orange County can leapfrog them possibly in the next week for second place in the West. Well, we're just about to begin half number 2 in the wind and the rain here at Seger Field. It's Loudoun 1, Louisville nothing. Loudoun must win to stay alive in the playoff race. Half number 2 on the way.
Business today is fast, unpredictable, always changing. Shifting trends and technologies are pushing aside old rules. The unexpected is the new normal. Segra is here to help you get what's next with our best-in-class connectivity, cybersecurity, cloud, and collaboration solutions. Whatever your business dreams, we have the network and services to get you there. Segra, giving your business the freedom to grow today. Segra is a proud sponsor of the Loudoun United Football Club.
We understand an upside-down world, but they're writing us off before we get to the starting line. A stalled generation? Who do you think is going to fix all this? We will. Because our future is the future. So we're going to build bridges and hospitals in a day and feed those left in the cold. We're going to do all this and more because we have an appointment with destiny.
Let's go!
Betfred's been taking bets for 55 years. We're so good at it, our staff thought they could still play. They were wrong.
Fred's doubling the price when your first touchdown scorer scores too. And with Fred, every 10th bet is on us.
We'll stick to taking bets because nobody does bonuses like Betfred.
More bonuses, more bets. Betfred.
You need on-the-go convenience. Novex Smart Hub delivers. Pay your electric bills, view your energy use, report an outage, and receive alerts regarding your account. With Smart Hub, use your credit card with no processing fees. Level out your monthly electric bills by enrolling in budget billing through Smart Hub. Easily access it through Novex mobile app or at novec.com. You're on the go. Novex Smart Hub goes with you.
Players slowly starting to make their way back out onto the field, and probably as slowly as possible, enjoying the last few seconds of staying dry before we begin half number 2. But first, let's take a look at highlights from half number 1. It was an odd first half, Ricky, that never really found a rhythm because of the conditions, but that one moment was produced by Zach Ryan off the corner.
Game changer in that final third. He just creates that little bit of separation, and it's a terrific flick on header. You just see the velocity that the ball comes in from Harvey Neville. Just too quick for Oliver Zemla to make any sort of reaction save, but it's all coming down to individual brilliance, individual willingness to beat your individual marker. Terrific goal from Zach Ryan.
You concede 4 corners in the first 20 minutes. At some point, you're likely to have to pay for it. And Louisville started to find some opportunities, but everything was kept on the perimeter. With strikes from distance, free kicks from distance. They never had a clean look in the box until the very last moment off of a corner.
And I do think for Ryan Martin, that back line has been very good, but you need to sort out Rocha and Husu Landry. That relationship is getting beat just a tiny bit as one steps off, the other one's not providing that coverage. And the same too for the 2 center backs. As Turner steps off, Learman has to have the ability to rotate over and provide that security right in front of Jacomin's goal. And I do think compacting, keeping everything in front of you for Ryan Martin is going to be the key for the second 45.
And this was that free kick opportunity for Carlos Mogul. Saw Jacomin cheating over toward his left, snuck it back toward the near post, and we take a look now at the first half stats brought to you by Betfred. The possession is what really jumps out and that first 45. Loudoun not known for possessing the ball, but they possessed the heck out of it through 45.
I think it's been very interesting the first half because you talked about Lou City wanting to get on the ball, wanting to ask more questions, wanting to put Loudoun United on the heels defensively. We haven't really seen that, but all the players come through. Gibson and Brian Omi playing centrally. I do think if you're Danny Cruz, the first 10 to 15 minutes, how do you come out of the break? You can get that early goal. It's going to be really interesting on how this game ends out. And for Ryan Martin, I think the message here, boys, was defensively stay compact, keep everything in front of you. And as Lou City tries to come out and try to get that equalizer, we can catch them being vulnerable back the other way.
Get you all the subs from the halftime interval in just a moment. The one we can confirm, Tommy Williamson on for Zach Ryan on the Loudoun side of things. Remember, Zach Ryan went down toward the end of that first half with a knock, so Tommy Williamson will replace him. It's Louisville from left to right in the white, Loudoun right to left in the red. Fans are starting to make their way back out into the elements to their seats as well. And we're set to begin half number 2. Elsewhere, by the way, since we just showed you the 0-0 score line during the halftime break, Pittsburgh scored. They're up 1-0 at home on New Mexico in their chase for the top overall spot in the Eastern Conference. Underway in half number 2. Loudoun must win to stay mathematically alive. Louisville needs some result here, otherwise they dip below the line demarcating home playoff game versus no home playoff game. They never finished below 4th place in the club's history going back to 2015. So a lot at stake here in the second 45. Happy to have you along for it with Ricky Lopez-Espin. I'm Joe Malfa, and there is your lone sub to get things going here in the second half. Brought to you by Seger, Tommy Williamson on, and Zach Ryan off.
All substitutions are brought to you by Segra.
Already left his mark on this one, Zach Ryan. Again, 20th minute. The lone tally so far. Oh, Metcalf was calling for it. He played long through it. Didn't make its way over to him. And now it's there for Oliver Zemla. Right through for Wilson Harris. Lets it run by. Harris taken down. Shout for a penalty. And it's a play on from Kyle Johnston. Given away by Jackaman. Here's Ownby battling through. Ownby falls to ground. And this is exactly what you needed to avoid if you were Loudoun. Maybe should have been called for a penalty. We'll have to take another look back at it. And then Jackaman just giving it right to Louisville in the 18.
Just too easy, a ball over the top, lack of rotation. Give credit to Wilson Harris. And I'll tell you what, I do think there's a little bit of an extension from Learman on the back end of it. The last moment, he gets away with on the center back. All comes down to the movement of Wilson Harris to come to the wrong side and gets the goal side of his individual marker.
I'll say I've seen less called penalties than that. That doesn't mean those that were called for lesser correct per se, but I've seen less called.
You never want to have the extension. That's where I think gets you in trouble. To the backside of Wilson Harris. You drop that shoulder, you go shoulder to shoulder, that's a different story. But as he pushes off, that's what I think gives Kyle Johnson the ability just to point to the spot, which he doesn't. I mean, there's a reason why he's on the field and we're up here.
Hey, I don't know about you, but I am a certified referee. I gotta take my test again in a couple of months. I've been at that point now where I keep getting the weekly email reminders, but they went from like bi-weekly to weekly. So like I know I gotta register again soon. It's coming up. I probably will procrastinate until it becomes a daily reminder. Louisville did make a change as well. Paolo Del Piccolo came on for Elijah Winder. All subs brought to you by Segra. It was a question mark coming into tonight. Danny Cruz said he had to have a conversation day of game with Paolo Del Piccolo as they tried to recover best they could from a difficult game against Miami FC on the turf in the heat. Became a physical track meet, 4-3 finish, as we showed you at the break. Danny Perez working on Kawanda. Takes it end line and earns a corner for Louisville.
Just seem a bit more comfortable since coming out of the break. This Lou City side getting on the ball just a tiny bit more and having the expansiveness that Danny Cruz likes to play with. Manny Perez on this near side, Oscar Jimenez on the weak side, just creating overloads and stepping higher in the second half.
That is not what you needed out of that corner, but fortunately, we'll get to do it again.
Are you getting camera one?
I don't think that ever got more than 4 feet off the ground, that attempt. So Jimenez will try again. Whipped in out of the near post. And it'll be a goal kick. Louisville disagrees.
It's a good run in from Sharpie, who just confused as he turns his back at the last second. Him and Cal Adams just have a bit of confusion. Who's going to go for it? This trickles wide from Jackaman's goalpost.
And Mogul called for the foul. It's 2-0 now, Pittsburgh at home over New Mexico. And Charleston has an early 1-0 lead on Tulsa. So coming into the day, this Loudoun team needed basically a mini miracle, down 10 points to Tulsa in the standings. 4 games to play. They'd have to play near perfect football the rest of the way, pick up every result, Loudoun, and hope that Tulsa faltered. The best you could do is control what's in front of you and hope the rest falls into place. So far, they're controlling what's in front of them. They're up 1-0, and they're letting Tulsa fall into place, down 1-0. Chipped over the top toward Medkar and gathered by Zemla. Oh, we have a moment. Shout out to all our crew working this game in the elements for us. John Black, Aaron Jackson, Vince Pecoraro, Anthony Amos, Stephen Walker, and Sterling Barlow are the ones out there that have been trying to make sure everything is still working right. Again, mentioned it in the first half, water and electrical equipment don't mix in this win. They're braving it. Jackets on, gloves on, ponchos on, camera gear, all with the waterproof stuff. They're the ones out there in this. You and I are the ones who are in a little booth and having a good time in the warmth. So we're the ones who would not be able to survive even 5 minutes of what they're doing out there. So a big thanks to everybody. And maybe I'd make 5. You'd make 2 minutes. Corner coming now for Louisville.
Come on now, we're supposed to be a team. It couldn't be possible without those guys, so that's off. Like you said, Joe, make everything happen.
Another in-swinger from Louisville. The header from Ownby off the post, and it ricochets out.
And it's the second time now that near post for Lou City has been a danger area. You whip the ball in with quality service, and you tell one of your players to go up and get it. Just beat their marker. This time it's Brian Ownby. Just so unlucky.
Now again from the corner, and it flashes wide to the far post this time. They're getting close now on these set pieces. If you're Loudoun, you have to stop conceding them. Easier said than done, not on the pressure Louisville has provided to begin this second half, but you can't keep allowing these, otherwise you're going to break at some point.
And I mentioned it, box defending. Denying balls across that goal mouth. Winning your individual battles are going to be really important for Loudoun United as you're up 1-0, because you know the pressure is going to come from this Lou City side, whether it's through the run of play, whether it's through quality set pieces. So you can't give any time and space inside that 18-yard box.
Morris is possessed by Adams. Now Ownby. Don't miss a minute of the action in 2023, whether your club is on the road or at home. Catch nearly every second of the USL Championship on ESPN Plus, home of the USL, La Liga, Bundesliga, UFC, and more. Sign up today at plus.espn.com.
Just seem a bit more balanced here at Lou City. You bring in Paulo Del Piccolo, so you have that middle three of him, Mogul Jr., and Gibson. Understanding how to dictate tempo, who gets the ball at the right amount of time. Ranomi presses higher next to Wilson Harris. So that, watch out.
Jackman going the wrong way. Just plays it out for a throw-in once he realized how quickly Del Piccolo was closing.
Exactly what I'm talking about. Now you have Manny Perez higher and wide. Puts a lot of pressure on Kawanda and Harvey Neville on that far side with Oscar Jimenez, because they need to make a decision. Do they stay centrally or do they go out and face the wing backs? And as they step out, those gaps open up in those half spaces where you see Paulo Del Piccolo, where you see Gibson are just so good at picking and choosing those half pockets. I do think Danny Cruz in a right timely substitution just to give this second 45 minutes a different look and a different feel.
It's interesting how they have been shifting, though, between the 3-back look and the 4-back look, as the free kick will go Loudoun's way here. They started that 3-back look when they acquired Kyle Adams. He was the only piece missing to try and implement that look. And they have, what was a difficult showing against, as Wilson Harris picks up a yellow card here, and a difficult showing against Birmingham on the road. It led Danny Cruz to pivot back to a 4-back, and also because they were playing Oakland at the time, and their data showed that Oakland struggled against 4-backs, so they go back to that 4-back, and a couple of games in a row they're against opponents who struggle against 4-backs. Colorado Springs, they stick with it. It's working for them. Last game they lose against Miami. They go back to the 3-back now, so they can show the multiple looks, and maybe it's just kind of riding the hot hand as far as which one is working for you based on the matchup. But tonight it's been the 3, and it's mostly been good except for the one time they lost their mark on the corner. Give it away almost again at the back here by Learman.
You see a different type of pressure now for Lou City, trying to force turnovers higher up the field when Loudoun is trying to build out, taking that center channel out. So if you're Learman or Turner, decision making becomes that much more important. You don't want to try to break lines when it's not on. Just play direct and relieve the pressure that you're under. And then the responsibility relies on Tommy Williamson, the lone striker. He's going to invite a lot of pressure, bring players in, so this man on the ball can float and win those second balls. We're going back to your point, Joe, talking about Lou City in terms of just flipping between a 3-back and a 4-back. I do think that's also a reason why Danny Cruz is maybe not as honed in on getting a home playoff game, because whether it's they're playing at Lynn Family Stadium, whether they're playing anywhere else in the Eastern Conference, they know they have different looks against opposition, and they can provide it at a very high quality. So having that trust in every single player, different roles, is going to be key once playoffs come.
Look over the shoulder here from Hagar, who's been mostly quiet tonight. Goes left to Williamson. Had men open to his right as well. Williamson drives it in front now, just beyond the reach of El Medcar. Landry. Hagar. Spotted the run of Neville, but chose to go back with it instead. Quiet for Hagar tonight. Again, it's been a weird game because of the conditions and the rhythm the game has sort of taken on. Quieter than we're typically used to seeing Hagar. Scooped ahead. Ping-pongs around a bit off of El Medcar before it's into the arms of Zemla.
Yeah, but you can see when he's on the ball, he's just a different level above everyone else. Just so comfortable, so silky, so smooth.
Harris splits through. Wilson Harris blocked by Landry. Did well to get his way in between Rocha and Learman. '22 Louisville, Wilson Harris probably puts that one away, and maybe that's some of the difference as far as why they are where they are this year versus last year. There's Cam Lancaster, Wilson Harris, just neither scoring quite at the clip they were in 2022. As a striker, you know it's all about confidence and riding that high, and they had plenty of confidence, both of them, last year. Perez. Sharpie. Back into Perez. Back out to Sharpie. Driven ball by Sharpie. No one in particular on the receiving end of it. Pushed ahead by Morris. Take Morris. Looking through for Williamson. Flag stays down. Tommy Williamson for Khalil El Medcar. Off the thigh of Kyle Adams. Hagar. Kawanda spins it back for Hagar. Quick 1-2. It's Landry, blocked by Tosh. Out for Morris, blocked this time by Gibson. Wide for Neville. Harvey Neville takes a deflection, out for a corner.
Really good passage of play here from Loudoun United. Just showing you the different looks from the different weapons that Ryan Martin had at his disposal, especially on the front line. It all comes down to Hagar, how comfortable he is to bring players in. Husu Landry getting the job done on both sides of the ball, and as this ball rotates over, give credit Oscar Jimenez to double down and deny Harvey Neville ball across.
Outswinger toward Morris, comes all the way through over the head of Tosh. Play on with a couple of bodies strewn about the box. Williamson gathers it. Williamson centers it. Balls for Landry. They can't get it clear, Louisville, right now. It's Landry again. Out for Neville. Beyond the hour mark, Harvey Neville flicks it up. Adams heads it away, but not clear. Back in toward Landry, flicks it centrally, and Morris puts it over the bar. There was a foul called, though, against Landry. Louisville was just begging for something bad to happen.
Let's get away with one here, Lou City. The inability just to clear their lines and have a ball up and away. Everything has been centrally. That's a big no-no for defensive structure. You just see the little push in the back from Hustu Landry on Manny Perez. But there is going to be success to be had for Loudoun United just in transition moments, turning your defense into offense, because Lou City and the importance of this game, they need to get an equalizer and they need to do it quick. There's going to be gaps going back the other way. But how clinical can you be if you're Ryan Martin and making those chances count?
Quickly for Perez. Popped up into the air off the deflection. And it's going to go Loudoun's way on the whistle. From here, Louisville will be able to go back home finally after a week on the road. Then it's right back on the road to a difficult place to play at the Lab in New Mexico next Saturday. And they end the season with 2 home games. One against Hartford, bottom of the heap in the East. The other against Tampa Bay, near the top of the East. That's where they go from here, in a situation where they're just trying to claw to stay above that line between 4 and 5. That's the line of demarcation as far as who gets a home playoff game and who doesn't. Battle is really just with Memphis. Doesn't seem like Louisville or Memphis will be able to catch Charleston. We're 10 points clear in third. And it doesn't appear as if Indy is going to threaten Memphis or Louisville at the end of the season here and claw their way back into the home playoff chase. It's just Louisville and Memphis, 2 teams with plenty of history amongst each other going back to last year. Memphis is visiting Tampa Bay here tonight, and then hosting Birmingham and El Paso before they visit New Mexico. It's a really tough run-in for Memphis. So based on the schedule, you'd imagine things will go Louisville's way. Whipped in now from the backside. And they'll do it again. Tampa Bay is up 1-0 right now on Memphis. So as it stands, there would be no ground lost by Louisville if they don't come back and earn a point out of this. You just have less runway with only 3 games to go instead of 4. And Swinger again, this time overcooked. The wind got a hold of that one, and a goal kick. Piccolo a step too slow. Gibson retrieves. By the way, Louisville will have to be clear of Memphis in points. Tiebreaker points earned in head-to-head meetings this year. They tied their first meeting. Memphis won the second meeting, so that tiebreaker goes Memphis's way. So if it is a 2-way tie between Louisville and Memphis, it'll be Memphis with the leg up, getting that home playoff game in 4th place. Certainly been one of the surprises of the season. Louisville is sitting in the middle of this pack in the East. You knew eventually they'd have to have a human season. They made every single Eastern Conference since coming into existence in 2015, every Eastern Conference final, I should say, and they made a handful of finals, won 2 of them, lost a couple of them along the way. This year, the roster was pretty much the same as last year. No real big additions, no real big subtractions. They just kind of ran it back and were hoping for the best. And to be fair, without some of the injuries they've had to deal with this year, it might have been a similar outcome to what it was last year. Things just have not gone their way. It's a testament to the organization they are. They've had just about everything go against them that possibly could this year, and they're sitting in 5th place. Free kick whipped in. And it'll come all the way through now for a corner.
Good ball clipped in here from Mogul. Loudoun just on the back end of it, clears his lines. I do think if you're Oscar Jimenez, the last couple haven't been the best services.
This one better, drops it in top of the 6, and it's blasted through by Toast, but saved by Jackaman, and out for another corner. What is it going to take for Louisville off these corners? They've hit the post. They've had defender saves off the line. They have this one now from Jackaman.
This ball falls extremely kind to Sean Tosh and straight at Jackaman.
He slaps this one away at his near post. They'll do it again.
Remember last time out, Sean Tosh gets a brace in Miami. One from the spot, one from a corner kick, slashing across that near post. Always a danger area.
That was the 6th corner of this second half for Louisville. Pittsburgh at halftime up 2-0 on New Mexico. Tampa Bay 25 minutes in, up 1-0 on Memphis. Detroit up 1-0 on Hartford, and Charleston up 1-0 on Tulsa. A couple of changes coming now on both sides. Dylan Maris, Owen Dom checking in for Louisville. Jimenez and Gibson come off. Wesley Leggett getting ready to come on now for Loudoun. Here he comes. Subs tonight brought to you by Segra. Owen Dom for Oscar Jimenez. Here's Tyler Williamson. Tommy Williamson, excuse me. Tyler Gibson, the other player who came off for Louisville. Sharpie sends it long. Jeremy Garay also came on for Loudoun. Here's Brian Ownby after the giveaway. Ownby across to Harris, and just runs by. Dom squares it back for Maris. Maris has it blocked at 2 subs combining there, and it's cleared.
But it's just that extra touch that's not needed from Dylan Maris. You close down your window, you give the time and space for the 2 Loudoun United players just to drop down and close the gap for the shooting target. Great ball in from Dom. Little cutback ball into Dylan Maris. It needs to be a bit more instinctual and decisive, especially in your own attacking 18-yard box.
Officially Jeremy Garay for Husu Landry. Wesley Leggett for Jake Morris.
It's going to be a different look now for Loudoun United as you drop in. Garay next to Rocha and Hagar. Leggett's going to have their license to join the attack and play like a double man striker next to Tommy Williamson. So now if you're this back line for Lou City, it's going to be like for like, man v man. You need a secondary defender just to drop down their defensive duties.
Hagar serving. Zemla gathering. Head for Ownby. Squaring it back toward Harris. Garay steps to it. Garay, one of the players who's really benefited from this switch to an independent team for Loudoun. It's always sort of looking over his shoulder on that proverbial bus back between Loudoun and DC United last year, just up and down, training ground every single week. This year had his feet firmly planted here. He'll make some strides as a young player. Adams. Perez trying to go through the legs of Kawanda. The young left back holds strong, but Perez gets it back. Now goes through the legs of Garay. Del Piccolo in the arms of Jackman. Time starting to slip through the hourglass now for Louisville. 18 minutes plus stoppage time remaining. Right where they haven't had a lot go their way offensively. Lone goal came in the 20th minute. Zach Ryan for Loudoun. Scores remained unchanged ever since.
And I'll tell you what, this young outside back Kawanda has had a very good and steady game. Not an easy task going against Manny Perez. Relentless pressure, but he's answered every single question asked of him.
Now it's through for Wilson Harris. And this time it's Giannis Learman answering the question asked, out for a corner.
Wilson Harris is one of, if not the best, center forward in USL Championship, just riding the line, playing off the shoulder of opposing center backs and breaking at the right time. And this time Learman reads his movement to perfection.
Mogul stands over this one. They've been opting for the in-swingers of Jimenez lately, but no longer on the field, so it's the out-swinger of Mogul. Comes out from Maris! What a way to tie it! Dylan Maris, level at one!
You talked about a sub coming into this game just to give something that was lacking in terms of quality, but just terrific technique, terrific audacity to let this ball fall down after half volley. Laces through the ball, head down, traffic oncoming from Jackman, he sees it late. Blue City draw even here in the 74th minute.
For all the times this year that Loudoun shot themselves in the foot with a mistake in a game in which they were leading, you can't say it this time. That's one where you tip the cap. Now the question is, can you keep it 1-1? And actually keeping it 1-1 doesn't do anything for Loudoun. Remember, they need all 3 points tonight to stay alive in the playoff race.
Such a difficult technique. Right foot, left foot from Dylan Maris, and I do think that's something you want to see just a tiny bit more if you're Danny Cruz in terms of his productivity. 4 goals and 1 assist on the season, make that 5 goals now. You expect a bit more from him in that final third. Coming off the heels of such an incredible career at El Paso, scoring goals for fun, creating assists. And really had that same success in a Blue City jersey, but always has moments of brilliance just like that when they need it most.
Over the top to Harris. Momentum squarely on Louisville's side now. Ownby blocked. Comes out for Del Piccolo. Perez. End line for Perez. And it did go out before it curled back in. Goal kick.
But once again, it's just about defending 1v1 from Kawanda, standing up Manny Perez. And as he takes that long touch towards the end line, that's when you can leave your feet and cut down the angle. Well, things like that maybe go unnoticed, but if you're Ryan Martin, you have to be extremely pleased with just a performance from the outside back Kawanda, number 8 in red. 76 minutes here.
While Louisville tied it, so too did Memphis. So in the live table, Louisville still in 5th. On the outside looking in terms of a home playoff game. Another goal would change that, though. On B.
I don't think that's a coincidence for Lou City. You bring in Paulo Del Pico, you see more of the ball, and the spacing just seems that much more right. You have him, you have Ryan Omby in those half spaces, you have Mogul Jr. sitting.
Harris almost caught the back line napping. It seemed like Learman just thought Jackman would easily get to it.
But right now you have Ryan Omby playing off the shoulder and underneath Wilson Harris. You're creating overloads. You see Manny Perez getting more involved. I do think Danny Cruz has got on the head just right in terms of the timely subs and the little change in formation, the tweak of individual characters. You can't have silly fouls like that. Second balls are going to be really important, trying to win them higher up the field for Lou City as they try to find that go-ahead goal here deep into the second half.
The ever-changing landscape of the Eastern Conference. Tampa Bay just scored again, now up 2-1 on Memphis. So now in the live table, Louisville's back into 4th place and won't have a home playoff game with 3 games to go. And still the rest of tonight to be determined. Only 34 minutes in between Tampa Bay and Memphis.
There's no need here if you're Dylan Maris. You bring down Eden Rocha. Yes, he goes down just a tiny bit soft, but he makes the most of it. He's had a strong, steady game, Eden Rocha. That single pivot for Ryan Martin right in front of their back line. There's a lot of the dirty work. Him and Husu Landry, who's now off the field.
Rocha wave back on. Dylan Maris, somebody who they were really excited about bringing in. We were talking about it earlier that by and large, the same Louisville roster this year as it was last year. Jordan Scarlett was supposed to be a big addition on the back line, season-ending injury. Dylan Maris supposed to be a big creative addition in the midfield. Slow start to the year, really bad injury luck. One time the ankle, one time the arm. Really struggled to kind of grow into the season. Eventually got his feet under him. Took him a while to get on the score sheet. Now with 5 goals, and this is what makes Louisville dangerous as we get toward the postseason. If they do come together and get healthy at the right time, talking about guys like Cam Lancaster. Now Maris is up and running and ready to roll come playoff time. It's a different looking team than the one that has been sort of suppressed to the middle of the pack in the East. Perez is it across.
I do think once playoffs come around the corner, it's a do or die game, excuse me. When you look at this Lou City roster, so many game changers, someone who can produce that little bit of individual brilliance just to get you over that finish line, and that's all you need in a game that's 90 plus, maybe extra time if you need it. I do think Danny Cruz is going to have the confidence and the trust and every single one of his players to come on and make a difference, just like Dylan Maris did here on the road in a very difficult environment.
Couple more changes coming now for Loudoun. Maybe their final 2 of the match. That'll be Alfred Almedcar and Harvey Neville, both coming off. Abdul Zaneh, Jace Clark take their spots. All subs brought to you by Segra. Hagar. Kawanda. legs of Jorge Gonzalez now on this right side for Louisville. Gets it to Wilson Harris. All the way across for Dom. And Dom works past Zane. Clark comes over. It'll be a corner for Louisville. Memphis tied it at 2 against Tampa Bay. 4 goals in the first 40 minutes there, split right down the middle. So we're back to Memphis, back on top of Louisville in 4th, Louisville to 5th.
Two players
significant because of what it means for a home playoff game.
2 players with the brace, Cal Jennings and Rodrigo da Costa.
Louisville has never finished below 4th in any format that they've been a part of, whether it was the divisions, the groups, the conferences. Of course, those divisions and groups during the COVID times, things got shuffled, never finished below 4th. In swinger to the back post, still loose in front, the diving header goes wide. Shout for a handball and a penalty. Crowding the referee, Kyle Johnston, who's given no signal yet. A mess of bodies all over the place in the box after this set piece. And again, we've still received no indication as to whether this is a free kick coming out, a penalty, a corner, no idea here.
Great ball in from Mogo Jr. I do think it's Wilson Harris that heads it back across where it came from. A lot of bodies, a lot of balling around. I do think there is a shout for a penalty as Kawanda swipes at this ball.
Hand directly up in the air means indirect free kick, whether it's an offside or a high boot. So it seems like this is going to be a kick coming out for Loudoun. And Louisville does not seem very happy about that.
Oh, this is a Loudoun free kick is going to be a bit confusing because Wilson Harris does very well, and Del Piccolo actually wins that ball. It's Kawanda that catches him. Foul. I don't see it. Goal kick maybe. Heads it off wide of the goal post.
Danny Cruz, bottom right of your screen, is as confused as we are.
I do think it has to be either a goal kick or a penalty. It would have been very harsh, in my opinion, to give a penalty from that quick instance. Yes, Del Piccolo gets there first, and Kawanda comes in a tad bit late, but is there a lot of contact? Has to be determined. No way is that a foul on Lou City. You just see how dangerous Lou City are on set pieces. Whether it is Oscar Jimenez, whether it is Mogo Jr. whipping the ball with a lot of pace into it.
Gonzalez looking for Harris. Maris already 1-2 his name. That time easy for Jackman. Jackman looking through the middle. One back by Lou City. Only for a moment. Hagart overran it. Kyle Adams. Nice flick on to Wilson Harris. Tried from distance and won the corner. eFootball 2024 is here. Live your dream, rep your team, and play as your favorite USL Championship club. Free to play. Download now. It's Mogul to deliver. Toward the back post. Gonzalez saved by Jackman. And cleared.
Really good header here from Jorge Gonzalez. Just rises up, does everything right. Heads it down. Even better save from Jackman to parry it away. Big time goalkeeping.
Mogul. Louisville has done everything but find that go-ahead goal. There's been one-way traffic in this second half. Dom. Step 2 by Garay. Perez. Remember, Loudoun must win this game to mathematically stay alive in the playoff race. Logically, it's a long road back. They came in 10 points back of Tulsa with 4 games to play. Logic and math are 2 different things, though, and because of the math, they were still alive, but need to win in order to stay alive. Their slim playoff hopes are just a few minutes away from going out completely. Louisville squarely in the playoff field. Question is, will they earn a home game in 4th instead of 5th? Came in the night in 5th. That's where they still are, given this 1-1 scoreline and the 2-2 scoreline between Tampa Bay and Memphis right now. Louisville, Memphis level on points. Memphis the tiebreaker in the head-to-head this year. Another corner for Louisville, racking up the tally here in half number 2. This is going to be corner number 12 of the second half alone for Louisville City. "90 seconds remaining of the 90 minutes. A dozen corners taken now. Mogul serves this one in, headed away by Turner. Played back out to Mogul, played back in. Jackman colliding with Del Piccolo, who's called for the foul.
Under a lot of pressure in the second half. Jackman has been very good. Timely saves, decisive when it comes off his line. There's a lot of the contact from Paolo Del Piccolo.
And Loudoun keep their hopes alive and steal this one late. The much better side in the first half, Loudoun. It's flipped in the second half. Louisville clearly the better side in half number 2.
Who's having a very difficult time stringing together any sort of rhythm here. Loudoun United, but you have to give credit to Danny Cruz. Want a reaction out of his boys, and has gotten one. On the ball, just a bit more confident, more patient. Something that you expected from the whistle, the first whistle. Now the question, have you 4+ remaining here, and they get that go-ahead goal.
Stoppage time brought to you by Novak, delivering power you can count on. 4 minutes given. Give and go between Del Piccolo and Harris. Maris. Wilson. Harris! Louisville on the way to 3 points from behind.
I mentioned it in the first half. Olsen Harris just gives you the ability to create something out of nothing, create his own space, and that's something that's so important as a striker. How's that for a little pullback to send Turner packing? The bend, the whip, the precision You see the disbelief on the back end of it from the Loudoun players, from the Loudoun faithful. Fantastic strike. Top quality from Wilson Harris to give his 9th on the season. More importantly, Lou City on the lead here in minute 92.
9th of the year. It's not the first time recently they've done this. Just go back a few games. And they came from behind 90+7 to beat Oakland at home. Now this pushes them 2 points past Memphis and squarely into 4th place. But they have to defend a corner here with 2 minutes to go.
Exactly what we're talking about, Joe. Once playoffs come around the corner, you just want your game changer just to have that little bit of individual brilliance, to make that little bit of a difference in both boxes. And Wilson Harris gives you that. What a fantastic individual goal that was.
Can they fend it off? Flicked header, well off target. And it'll be another corner here for Loudoun. Oh no, the throw, pardon me. Indication initially was for the corner from Kyle Johnston. In front of the assistant referee. Loudoun has to score twice here in the closing seconds to keep their playoffs hopes alive. Must win. Turner. Kawanda. Turner again. Floats one. Zemla thought about coming off his line, but the wind pushed that one all the way outside the 18. Harris caught behind. Looked like he might have stomped on the player. But the foul goes against Loudoun. Loudoun players seem to think that Harris tried stomping on Hagar at the end of that. To be fair, it looked like he just had his legs caught up in between after the awkward challenge by Hagar and was trying to find his footing. Now he's the one still laid out on the turf. Oh, and Dom, pardon me. This will probably put us past the 4 minutes that were initially given as Dom is down. Rain had stayed away for a good bit of the second half. It's certainly back now. We're set for the final whistle whenever Kyle Johnston decides to blow it. Free kick for Louisville. Taking it to the corner, Dom. And there's the final whistle. Loudoun officially eliminated from playoff contention after Louisville came on the road and came from behind. Wilson Harris the winner, 90+1.
Danny Cruz talked to us on the phone, said this club does not lose 2 games in a row, especially with the talent that he had at his disposal. You want your big-time players to stand up in big-time moments to create that little bit of difference. Wilson Harris, terrific goal. Wasn't the prettiest games for Lou City, but at this point in time in the season, take all 3 points back to Kentucky. Big time win on the road.
It's interesting, at the top of the broadcast, we said it might have to be ugly tonight because of the conditions. For the most part, it was, but the 2 goals they scored, stunning. Anything but ugly to come from behind and take all 3 points. Now we'll take a look at the save of the game, brought to you by Segra. It belongs to Dane Jackaman, and it came as Louisville was pressing for that go-ahead goal in the second half. Jackaman just kept it out.
Yeah, they put a lot of pressure on Jackaman from minute 1 to minute 94. None bigger than this one. Big-time header from Jorge Gonzalez. Even better save from Jackaman.
Well, they would eventually get that go-ahead game-winning goal. It belonged to Wilson Harris. And we'll come back in just a moment to wrap things up from Segra Field. Your final score brought to you by Segra. Louisville City 2, Loudoun United 1. Their playoff hopes officially dashed at the hands of Louisville and Wilson Harris.
We understand an upside-down world. But they're writing us off before we get to the starting line. A stalled generation? Who do you think is gonna fix all this? We will, because our future is the future. So we're going to build bridges and hospitals in a day and feed those left in the cold. We're going to do all this and more because we have an appointment with destiny.
You need on-the-go convenience. Novex Smart Hub delivers. Pay your electric bills, view your energy use, report an outage, and receive alerts regarding your account. With Smart Hub, use your credit card with no processing fees. Level out your monthly electric bills by enrolling in budget billing through Smart Hub. Easily access it through Novex mobile app or at novec.com. You're on the go. Novex Smart Hub goes with you.
Business today is fast, unpredictable, always changing. Shifting trends and technologies are pushing aside old rules. The unexpected is the new normal. Segra is here to help you get what's next with our best-in-class connectivity, cybersecurity, cloud, and collaboration solutions. Whatever your business dreams, we have the network and services to get you there. Segra, giving your business the freedom to grow today. Segra is a proud sponsor of the Loudoun United Football Club.
Welcome back into the post-game show presented by Segra. Final score brought to you by Segra. Louisville City 2, Loudoun United 1. And what was an up-and-down year for Loudoun in their first year as an independent club, separate from DC United. They officially see their playoff hopes dashed tonight. And Ricky was looking good for a while as far as staying alive in that playoff chase, and it was because of the goal scored by Zach Ryan.
The first goal is always going to be important, especially for the home side. Zach Ryan creates that little bit of separation, but what a fantastic flick on header. Body control, tenacity, willingness just to get on the end of it. Doesn't he hit it quick? Change completely in the second half for Danny Cruz. You change a little bit of formation, you play attack more minded football, and you bring in this man who can produce that little bit of individual brilliance. Terrific technique to let that ball get down and hit it just so cleanly. But this is the goal of the match. You want 90 plus 2 minutes. You want your strikers to be confident, to get himself high in around that 18-yard box. A little bit of individual skill, sends his defender packing and pick that out. Top left corner, nothing Jackman can do. Wilson Harris, 9th on the year. And more importantly, Lou City, 3 points on the road here in Loudoun.
Gets them into 4th place. Memphis right now in 5th as they're tied 2-2 with Tampa Bay at the half. Stats paint a one-sided picture. It was a tale of two halves. Loudoun dominated the first, Louisville the second.
I do think there's a lot of positives if you're Danny Cruz to take out of this game. Yes, it wasn't your best football in terms of the whole 90 minutes, but you found a way to get a result, right? You found a way to grind out results, and I think as playoffs are important. How do you win when you're not playing your best football? Loudoun United, a lot to grow on for Ryan Martin, but
you got to have an interesting run to the finish here with 3 games left. Louisville back into 4th place. A big thank you again to our camera and technical crew who braved the elements, and for the rest of the crew that makes this possible. My broadcast partner, Ricky Lopez-Espin. I'm Joe Malfa saying good night from Segra Field, where Louisville City FC takes it 2-1 over Loudoun United.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.